Every pitching injury has a root cause. And the biggest root cause is kids and young athletes are being taught high-level pitching mechanics without being able to master basic fundamental movement of the human body. And that is where injury is happening. That is the true root cause of all of these shoulder, elbow, hip, back, all of these injuries. And let's just put it in simple terms. If we were going to build a building, do we put the penthouse in first? No. We like the penthouse. It's nice. It's got hot tubs. It's got an open bar. Okay. But when we build a building, we first put in footings. Okay. We put in the parking garage. We put in solid fundamental movement. Most of these kids can't do a proper squat, let alone master the basic fundamental movements of the shoulder. And then we're putting them on the mound and trying to teach them high-level exercises. So we're trying to put the penthouse on or in before we build a solid parking garage. And that is the root cause of all of these injuries. Okay? You can't train without proper movement. You can't pitch without proper movements. You need solid, fundamental, neurological sequence movements before we can do all these high-level movements. Hi, my name is Dr. Kevin McGovern. I'm a physical therapist and strength coach for the past 31 years. I've dedicated my life and career to preventing, fixing, and correcting pitching mechanics, movements, whatever you have it, to save 1 million arms. That is my goal, okay? So I see this all the time. We're doing, let's just go across social media, right? Let's just take exercise. I see these, or just let's just take arm care exercise. I see these water bags being used. Now, is the water bag bad? No, it's a bag, okay? However, we're doing these high-level rotational movements. Has anyone cleared the kid's spine? Does a kid have scoliosis? Is to have the right curvature, the right musculature? Are his glute strength equal? Is hamstring strength equal? His back extensor strength? I can tell you right now, no. But yet we go and do the penthouse before the parking garage, okay? Let's look at pitching mechanics. I see these run and guns, these reverse throws, all of this stuff. Have we checked whether somebody has basic scapular humeral rhythm? Now, what is that? Well, that's the basic law of movement of the shoulder blade and shoulder, right? The shoulder blade is swimming in our back, right? It depends on a very precise series of muscle contractures to make it move correctly. And depending on what research you read, it should be a 3-to-2 ratio, meaning for every 3 degrees my arm moves, my shoulder blade should rotate inward too. But we're doing this all day. We're at the keyboard all day. Kids are on their phone all day. Everyone on this planet is upper trap dominant, okay? In 31 years, I have really never seen anyone come in my office, pro athlete, college athlete, amateur athlete, average Joe, that has correct scapular humeral rhythm. It really needs to be trained. If it's not trained and we go out and throw, penthouse before parking garage. And this is why so many injuries are happening, right? There are so many people in the baseball space doing all these things, just because you've played somewhere, great, God gave you unbelievable talent. But that doesn't mean that you understand the fundamental movements of the body. And yes, I've seen these 3-week certification courses for this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. 3 weeks or 90 days, 3 days, it doesn't compare, okay? Like, it just doesn't compare. I'm not tooting my own horn, but the human body is unbelievably complex and it needs to be studied. And I'm learning every single day. For someone to go and say they've got X certification from some velocity place and that they know human movement is preposterous. Okay, you know human movement when you are able to take a joint, a shoulder joint, a condition where someone has been literally a crush injury, a blowout, a car accident, where their joint is destroyed, and get them back to a functional level at or even greater than when they came in. That's knowing the human body. And until you have done that and had the pressure of doing that, you don't know human movement. Sorry. So we have to, as a society, as parents, as coaches, we have to get these kids to move correctly. We're in a society now where kids don't go out and play anymore. Go by any field, anywhere, look around, no one's out there playing, okay? Why? Because you can go on your phone and be your sports hero. And I think the lack of play beginning at a young age is really have a negative effect on how kids are moving. They're just not picking up basic human movements that they did 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And they really don't move until they're doing a organized activity like, travel ball or whatever. And if that activity or what's being taught in that activity is not correct, they're going to build bad fundamental habits. And practice does not make perfect. That is a terrible analogy. Practice makes permanent. So if you are moving incorrectly and you do it over and over again, you're going to have a permanent issue. Again, penthouse before parking garage, okay? So the movement is key. Fundamental movement testing is key. Your kids should not be going out doing any high-level movements without making sure that they have good fundamental movements. Go to a physical therapist. Go to a certified strength coach. Make sure the major joints and major movements of your kid's body is neurologically correct. You spend thousands of dollars on travel ball, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. Spend a few $100s, okay, and go and make sure that your kid has the proper fundamental movement. Now, within the last 15 years, all of these travel ball programs has added strength and conditioning. Well, everyone is not cookie cutter. What's good for Johnny could be negatively affecting Billy, okay? So you can have group exercise, but it has to be individually tailored, okay? You can't just go online, get some strength and conditioning program, and throw it out there and have kids do it, especially when we're putting weight in people's hands or on a bar. So many times I've had people, high school kids, come in my office and say they can squat this, deadlift this, do this, and I do a simple squat test and I push them over with one finger because they're doing it incorrectly. Now they're doing it incorrectly and they got weight on their bar, okay, and they're doing it with weight. And then when you really get them in a room and put the light on them and ask them, do you have back pain? Oh yeah, I do. Oh, I wonder why you have back pain, because you're doing this incorrectly, okay? I'm a huge proponent of Olympic lifting. I'm a huge proponent of strength training. It has to be done correctly. We don't put the parking garage in and then add crooked floors, all right? We can't do that. The body is a building, okay? We're not going to get on an elevator. We're not going to go down to a tall skyscraper, look up and see one floor here, one window like this, and get on the elevator of that building. In a million years, you wouldn't do that. Yet, as parents and coaches, we're letting kids go out and do exercise, strength training exercises, when they can't do fundamental movements, right? The biggest one I see is the lunge, right? The lunge is a very precise movement where everything's knees got to be 90, back knees got to be 90, hips are 90, and torso 90, 90, 90. I see kids knee going forward over the toe, and I look down and they're holding weight. Like, how are you adding weight to a poor movement base? Penthouse before parking garage. I can't emphasize enough how bad that is. And it takes a while to get fundamental movement down. And it really takes a while to correct it after you've been doing it wrong for so long, okay? Especially in the squat. And there's really two movements that you have to master. You have to master scapular depression, the ability to naturally depress your shoulder blades as you lift your arms up. And you have to be able to keep the inward curve of your low back, okay, that's called your lordosis, when doing a squat. Those are vital, okay? And so many times I see that curve is reversed, right? Why do they make the weight belt to put around your waist? Is to keep that lordosis, okay? Yet I see people teaching the exact opposite, to flatten your back, to do that. Like, we have 3 curves in our back for a reason, okay? They need to be kept, okay? And I can show you, as soon as you lose that lordosis, the strength of your glute and hamstring goes to nothing, okay? So I see so many kids in my office with lumbopelvic dysfunction, okay, because of all these movements, and shoulder and elbow issues for the same reason, okay? And yes, does your shoulder and back, are they, are they married? Do they have issues with each other? And the answer to that is yes, okay, because of our lat. Our lat adjusts or stabilizes our shoulder blade and our pelvis, okay? 2 joints, okay? But when one is off, the lat really gets confused and doesn't know what to do, or throws so much energy to our pelvis and forgets about our shoulder blades. Or, most oftentimes, both shoulder and low back are off, okay? And it's off because of poor fundamental neurological movement. Penthouse before parking garage. I can't emphasize that enough. For more information, like and subscribe to this channel. Help me save 1 million arms. Visit my website, velocityrx.org. Explore this channel. There's a lot of information here. But one thing you will always resoundingly hear me say over and over and over again: correct the basic movement first, then worry about the high-level movement. If you're worrying about the high-level movement first and not the basic movement, you will get injured. It's just a matter of time.